All right. Hopefully this is recording. I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about the objectives, methods, products, or outcomes. Um, so I think what they show in the video is pretty close to what I think about this. Although my video audio was crazy low, I could barely understand it. So hopefully it was working better for you guys. But I wanted to, when I went and looked uh, at the template for the assignment, I was a little confused by something, and I think I wanted to just talk with you guys about it and maybe change the way they did this table here. So all this first stuff, clinical question, problem statement, purpose statement, objectives, makes sense. And I think what I would do is uh, once you list those out, work on the table, because really this is what need to line up. So your objectives should match what you have listed up here for your final objectives, and they should be verbatim the same, and they should be in a logical order. A couple of people have some really wordy objectives, and my suggestion is to simplify them down, because objectives in this section are really just supposed to be a broad overview. So it's okay to simplify them down to really a one sentence statement of what you intend to accomplish. The detail will go into your final paper in some other places, but the objectives just need to be like a one sentence. This is what my first objective is. This is what my second objective is. Because the detail is going to come out in other things. So you don't need to put all this detail up front. And this last column, I don't know if it really matches what they talk about in the video. And so I would strongly recommend that you change that table to a 4-column table. I guess this is just how I think about projects, and I think it makes sense, and it's a little more concrete. And this is kind of what I need to see to understand if this is going in a good direction, or so I understand what your project's doing. And so really the first thing I would start with is your objective. And I have a couple, some sample objectives here. So this might be a sample project, identify barriers for end-of-life resource use. What barriers might there be to people accessing, hospice or other things that help with end-of-life care? And the product for that, and this is where I would, when you have an objective, ask yourself, what am I actually trying to produce here? What is the tangible thing that I want to produce? What is my product? And the other word you could use is outcome, but it needs to be something very tangible. And in fact, I encourage you to state it as a noun. What is your outcome? And so the product might be a list of barriers. And then once you've identified what the product is, what method are you going to use to get to that? So if somebody had some data, maybe some past interviews with people, then they could do a review of that data and pull out this list of these things. So a qualitative review, or a content analysis, analyze. And this methods, you probably want to state as a verb. So analyze, prior data to identify barriers. And so you're going to have this list of barriers as your outcome. Another objective potential here is develop education session to, you're going to develop an education session. So you need to, the product is you need to come up with tools that you're going to use to teach this education session that you're developing. So you might have a PowerPoint, or you might have a topic outline, or a list of questions, or a discussion guide. Those are the products. And the methods, are simply, develop the PowerPoint, create the PowerPoint, create the topic outline. And so that's how there should be a logical connection between the objectives, the products you're trying to produce for the objective, and the methods you intend to use to go, to produce these things that you're talking about. Very concrete, very simple. I'm not looking for huge amounts of detail here. The detail is going to come later, but I'm just looking for a real concrete description of what do you intend to produce here. Because this is where you're going to be able to see, okay, if I've got 10 things that I intend to produce with this objective, am I really realistically going to be able to do this? And maybe it's too big. Maybe we need to scale it down a little bit. But this is where we start to get this idea, is this a viable project? And are these objectives reasonable? Because if it's not, then we need to tone it down to be a reasonable scope. And, be simple with your descriptions here. And that way we see this connection here. And then this is where I think these, the instructors are trying to get at is evaluation measures is how do you intend to evaluate if you were successful for an objective? And so if you're analyzing some interview data or some feedback from something prior and to identify a list of barriers, then you might have other people that you're working with who would review it also and evaluate, does this look sufficient? It doesn't have to be crazy complicated. Same thing with your developing education materials for an education session and a PowerPoint and a topic outline or discussion guide. Have it reviewed by another individual involved in the project. Might be the evaluation to see, to assess if there are any gaps or if it's sufficient. And and then just go through each of your objectives, identify your main products or outcomes that you're looking for here, and make a simple statement of what you intend to do to get to that, to create that or obtain that product that you're looking for. And then how can you evaluate that it's successful or sufficient? Pretty simple. So I just wanted to clarify a little bit what things to maybe do here and change this table to not just be objectives, methods, and evaluation measures, but objective, methods, products or outcomes, and then how you might evaluate that if it's sufficient. I hope this helps. Contact me if you have questions and we'll just move forward, but have a good rest of your day.